Welcome to Art Ed Radio, the podcast for art teachers. This show is produced by the Art of Education, and I'm your host, Tim Bogatz. Hello and welcome to the month of April, almost a full weekend, but it is the first Tuesday of April, so it is time for the April Mailbag episode. And joining me, as she does for every Mailbag episode, is Amanda Hine. Amanda, how are you?
I'm great. I like that it's getting warmer in Wisconsin. We're thawing out, and it's really good for my soul. How are you?
That's excellent. I feel like it's getting warmer everywhere, and I appreciate that. And springtime is always good. So I don't know. I just a little refresh, a little good feeling, a little burst of energy that comes with it, and I appreciate all of that. So
Me too.
I'm enjoying things as well. So before we dive into things, we have a lot of questions today, so we're going to try and move quick. Before we dive in, let's do some quick introductions. My name is Tim Bogatz. I'm the host of the Art Ed Radio podcast here. I've worked for the Art of Ed for a long time, doing the Art Ed Now conference and a bunch of other things. I was a high school teacher for a long time, an elementary art teacher for a short amount of time, and been doing all of this podcasting and conference coordinating for quite a while now. So, Amanda, can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, I'm Amanda Hine. I'm the Director of Community Engagement at AOE and oversee the team that creates all of the media content you see and the Now conference and the community. And I was an elementary art teacher at the start of my career.
Yeah. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. That is who we are. Like I said, we have some great questions coming. First, we have some stories to tell, but also we have some housekeeping. So, Amanda, what's on your list for housekeeping? What do people need to know about?
Sure. Okay. People need to know that the next art club in the Art of Ed community is this Thursday, April 9th at 6 Central. We're going to have Teresa Gillespie from AOEU with us talking all about fibers, as well as some AOEU studio courses. So you can bring a piece of cardboard, scissors, and things to weave with, yarn, bits of fabric, ribbon, whatever you want. We are also giving away a $50 AOE merch store gift card at that event if you need a little incentive to join us, but it's going to be very fun and we hope to see you there. If you're not a community member, you can go to community.theartofeducation.edu. It's free to join. Art Club is free. It's a great place to be.
It's also the first link in the show notes. So if you just want to click there and find the community, it is a great place to be. My housekeeping also has to do with community. We've been doing the lunch bunch every couple weeks, and it's very fun. Like every other Friday, just spending 30 minutes where Jen is the lovely Jen Leben, our community director, hangs out and hosts a little time to just kind of relax, chat, talk about art education, talk about teaching, talking about life. I've been a guest a couple times, but I really just enjoy sitting back and watching other people chat too. Megan Mansky, who is a community member, is going to be on camera talking with Jen at the next one coming up. So check the community there, and we will. Yeah, it's a good way to spend a little bit of time on Friday. And if you can't make it live, it's recorded as well, so you can check on things later. So if you just want a little time to sort of unwind and hang with some other art teachers, it's a great opportunity to do that.
Yes. And finally, one more thing we're doing in the community is Pop-Up Studio. That's Wednesday, April 22nd at 6 Central. That is very open-ended. You can come and work on whatever you want. And the theme for the discussion is humorous art room stories. So I'm very excited about that. Also, I guess we should tell people that Art Ed Now is still having early bird pricing through the end of May. So we're not quite getting super close yet. But if you want to lock that in, you can just go to theartofeducation.edu/now and sign up so you don't miss it.
Yeah, always worthwhile. Of course, I think it is because I run it, but we love the conference. We love the summer conference. Great bit of inspiration right before the school year starts. take so many ideas with you back to your classroom, hang out with other art teachers. Great place to be, great time to get together and do that conference. So make sure you check that out. We'll put that link in the show notes as well. So, okay, can I tell you a quick story before we dive in, Amanda?
Yes.
Okay, so last month we teased a little bit of gardening talk, and I'm not going to go too far with this, but I will just say I've been out for walks with my dog and some running quite a bit now that the weather's been nice. And I notice along the trails that there are just a lot of empty patches of dirt. And I've been thinking to myself, like, it would be a shame if somebody were to just sprinkle, native flower seeds like all over the place, native plant seeds all over. And so I don't know the legality of that. So I can neither confirm nor deny that I
It's
have
like
been.
guerrilla gardening.
It's absolute. That's what I call it with my kids, guerrilla gardening. So I can neither confirm nor deny spreading thousands of plant seeds along the trails on my runs. And will anything come of it? I don't know, but I feel like it is worth the little bit of time and effort, and we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, you
it's
need to keep us updated.
yeah, it may or may not have been fun to get that started. So,
Okay.
what's going on with you?
Hypothetically, hold on. Hypothetically, if one were to do this, would one put a bunch of loose seeds in their pockets?
Well, hypothetically, a backpack would probably work with a couple of gardening tools and a water bottle. And so
Oh,
take
hypothetically, like real gardening is happening.
just small hand rake, rough up the soil a little bit, maybe sprinkle some seeds, and then maybe take your water bottle, give them a little water before you walk off, or just do it right before it rains. Either or,
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
could be successful.
Okay. All right. Great.
Great
Um,
question, though.
Thank you. I have a non-hypothetical story, and that story is a puppet is ruining my life. And if you I mean, here's what's funny. I already have a predisposition against puppets. I don't like them.
As one does.
As one does. They creep me out. I'm not into the textures that they usually are. I don't know why usually the people are like a chenille fabric. I don't like it. And my 12-year-old has decided. We were in Austin over spring break and he saw a puppet. And after he saw this puppet, he became consumed by the idea of making a puppet. And I'm talking a
Okay.
marionette puppet, which is the scariest breed of puppet.
Okay, we didn't just, like, get a sock and paste some eyes on
Oh,
it,
no, no,
like,
no.
we're
No.
building this.
So the real reason that it's actually not ruining my life because it's creepy, although it is, it's sort of delightfully creepy. He made a face out of Sculpey and it's so delightfully weird. Um, but the real problem is it's taking over the art room in a way that I don't fully comprehend because the puppet is maybe 10 inches tall and the
Okay.
entire art room table and floor is fully covered in bits. And I'm talking the soldering gun is out for reasons I'm not fully able
Okay.
to articulate.
Okay.
Hot glue gun, duct tape, cardboard, fabric bits, templates, paper bits, scissors, every single wire cutter we had was just on the floor. It's as though Kevin McAllister is taking things to the highest level. I don't know. We get our house cleaned, and the day before we get our house cleaned, I make the kids clean up the art room,
Yeah.
and we're getting our house cleaned tomorrow. And I truly don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to be able. I might just have to rope off the room and say, "Don't clean in here
Yeah,
this time,"
don't worry about
because
this one today. Thank you.
oh my gosh, it's very cool though. It's fully articulated. All the he's making the eyes move up and down.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
it's wild. So TBD on if he'll finish that
I
or
was
not.
just gonna ask. My question was, you've talked before about how these elaborate projects get, like, 70% done, but then he feels a sense of accomplishment.
Right.
He's set out he's achieved what he set out to do, and
Yeah.
he's good. So, like, what is the percentage chance that this will get seen through all the way to the end?
I feel like there's still more to go, so I do
Okay.
think it will progress some. I don't know that we'll arrive at a fully realized puppet. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Alright. Well,
We'll see.
wherever it gets to, I would love to see some pictures.
Yes, I'll have to post them in the community.
All right. Now it is time for us to jump into some questions. This is kind of a fun one because every question today comes from the Art of Ed community, as well as a voicemail coming from a community member. So we're
Yes.
looking forward to all of those. Amanda, can you give us our official introduction?
Yes, let's go ahead and open up the mailbag.
Okay, we have two Adobe questions to start us out, one from Ed, one from Samantha. The first question is, in the age of Canva and Procreate, where the Adobe suite is becoming less prevalent, if you have a year-long high school graphic design course, what other units can you teach? I feel like designing traditional print media is so quick and easy these days that I'm having trouble theorizing a year's worth of assignments. Okay, that is a great question. Do you mind if I throw some thoughts
Yeah,
out
go
first?
ahead.
All right. I think changing the mindset can go a long ways here. Not thinking less about how do I fill a year, like what is my list of
Mhm.
assignments? I think the better approach is to think about how can I teach kids to think like designers.
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of that friction is gone. Like the question said, designing traditional print media is so quick and easy, and it really is. A lot of that friction of design is not there anymore. So it's not as much about the technical skill. And so I think just thinking about design, the qualities of design can go a long way here. And so just think to yourself, what are all of the things that we can do? What are all the things that designers do? Because if we make that assumption that production is easier, I think we can still argue though that thinking is still hard and creativity is still hard.
Mhm.
And our job as teachers can be to help kids sort of make sense of the world around them, think about design and what they're seeing around them. Like, how can you help them think critically about what they're seeing in ads online, on social media, and how can we learn those things and transfer lessons into their own work? What are those creative things that you want your kids to appreciate? What are those creative things that you can get your kids to do? And so I think a good idea is to, still start with the foundations, what you would teach in any graphic design course, but also find out from your kids what else are they interested in, what are they seeing, what do they want to, create that mimics or appreciates what they're seeing. Whether that's branding or identity or social media design or maybe user experience or user interface from apps or online. I think there's a lot that can be brought in and a lot of ways to kind of dive deeper into the concepts that you would otherwise be teaching. So I probably talked a little too long there, Amanda, but I would appreciate your thoughts on this too.
Yeah. I think one interesting thing you said was to help them think critically about what they're seeing. And I think that has to become a big part of any graphic design course is visual
Yeah.
literacy and how
Yes.
to assess imagery and how it was made and where it came from and who made it and why they made it. Kids are being served all sorts of content that is just being generated by AI on the internet
Hmm.
all day long. And so I think it's really important for them to understand how and why that image was created and why they're seeing it. So I would fold that into your plan. And like you mentioned, graphic design can encompass so many different things. So while you can still teach the principles of design and the history of design, right? You can also talk about careers. Like you said, there's branding and
Hmm.
visual identity, there's product and packaging, there's typography, illustration, video game design. Every single thing in the room you're sitting in was created by a designer. And so maybe the trick is also to widen the scope a little bit beyond
Mm.
traditional graphic design into a
Yeah.
wider design course. That could be interesting. I also think it would be fascinating to have the kids do some thought work about what does graphic design look like in an age where, quote unquote, anyone can be a graphic designer. For
Yeah. Yeah.
example, take photography. Everybody has a camera in their pocket. Is everyone a photographer? Is everyone a fine art photographer? Is everyone a fashion photographer? You know what I mean? What skills differentiate the people who know how to use the tools to create interesting work and those that don't, right? Like, what is the difference in the skill set there? And I think that would be really interesting to explore with kids.
Absolutely. That's a great question. That's a great starting point when you go back into class after
Mhm.
listening to this. I think that is a great example with photography and a great conversation starter to get kids thinking and get kids talking. So I like that. I want to follow up here with our second question, also about Adobe. High school design and digital photo teacher here. I believe this was Ed. What do you think about industry certification, i.e., Adobe tests? Okay, will it make the student ready for a career in the creative industry? And then in parentheses, he says, go easy on the Adobe bashing. There might be a fangirl or two amongst us. Okay. Or are these Adobe tests an empty badge for your email signature?
Okay, well, having never taught high school, I'm going to just maybe pass that to you because I'm
That's fair.
interested in your
That's fair.
thoughts.
No, I just have a quick thought here. My first idea when I read this question was just the idea of a driver's license. Okay. And
Mm,
like these Adobe tests are like a driver's license. They tell everybody, they show everybody that you know the basics.
mhm,
But just because you have your driver's license doesn't, like, I can't tell how well you navigate around the city. I can't tell
sure.
how well you actually get through traffic. And so I think it's a good starting point. I don't think, like Ed asked, I don't think it's going to make you ready for a career in the creative industry,
Yeah.
but it is a good starting point. Okay. It's a good way to give kids goals, something to work toward, a sense of accomplishment when they get there. And then it's not nothing, it's something that you can put on a resume, on a job application. And I would say that, a design portfolio along with those certifications, along with those Adobe tests is going to look a lot better than somebody who just has a portfolio.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it's not the end all be all, but I definitely think those tests can be worth your time.
And it certainly cannot hurt,
Yeah,
you know? I would say
absolutely.
it's more than an empty badge for your email signature.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. All right. Our next question is from Brittany. And Brittany says, what strategies do you have for very chatty and loud classes? Elementary level, I've tried quiet critters with some success. Any other ideas? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you take this one, Amanda. And I'm going to hope that you know what quiet critters are because
Oh,
I'm out of this loop.
I know what quiet critters are. Okay, if you're unfamiliar with quiet critters, the basic technique is a cute little critter gets to come and visit tables that are quietly working. Okay, so this is how I've seen it done. It could be a little pom pom with googly eyes and little feet, or a vintage beanie baby. I've seen teachers pull out their old collections,
So it's
or
probably adorable, though.
it's adorable, right? All the
Excellent.
kids want
Okay.
a quiet critter to come and sit at their table, but they have to be quiet in order for the critter to come, right?
I
That's the
like this
environment it
idea.
likes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great idea. But it sounds like Brittany is looking for more ideas because she just has one of those classes. So I do have four more ideas. Buckle up. Okay. Idea number one, start with 5 minutes of silent work time. This has worked for me for really chatty classes because it just immediately starts. A, they know what the expectation is. B,
Mhm.
it starts quiet. And then some kids, now, not all kids, but some kids are going to get in a zone before they can ramp up to their full volume. Some teachers play calm music during that time. I think that's great if that works for you. Your choice there. Idea two is to use this ART strategy. I don't know if you've seen this. So you display the letters ART somewhere in your room, or you
Mhm.
just write them on the board. If it gets too loud, you take away the A. If after a few minutes it's still too loud, you take away the R. And then if you have to take away the T, the rest of the class is silent work time.
Yep.
So, again, your
No, I've
mileage may
seen
vary, but
that used with a lot of success before.
yes. Idea three, there are those gimmicky stoplights that change color as the volume gets louder. So it's like based on decibels, right? And once it reaches red, some teachers are like, okay, now it's silent work time forever. Sometimes it's the next 5 or 10 or however many minutes are silent work time if it gets to red. I'm not a huge fan of reward systems, but sometimes, you got to do what you got to do. For example, maybe it never gets to red and they earn a point towards something, right?
Yeah.
If they don't get it to the red light. And then idea 4 is maybe counterintuitive, but it is give them plenty of time to talk. So those chatty
Okay.
classes during work time, it can be wild, but during carpet time or circle time or sharing time, those are the classes where you have inexplicably lost 18 minutes of your life because everybody needs to tell a story about their cousin who plays soccer, it
Yes.
just
Yes.
ping pongs all around. So I am a fan, if there is a group discussion, asking the question and saying, turn to a partner and share your thoughts. And then I'm very specific. I will call on 2 people to share their answers, and then we're going to do XYZ. And then everybody gets to talk who wants to talk,
Yeah.
but it's all at the same time for a chaotic 60 seconds, not long and drawn out. So
Right.
that's another way that I have found to stay on track with those super
I
chatty
like that.
classes.
Spending 3 minutes instead of 18 seems
It's
like
good.
a good idea. So
Yep.
good trade-off. No, those are all great ideas. So thank you. Our next question is actually a voicemail, and this comes from Catherine.
Hi, Tim and Amanda. My name is Catherine Kasparovich. I teach at 2 small Catholic schools for elementary level. And my question is, how do you, the 2 of you, deal with any kind of drama with school and not bring any of that home with you? What are your best tips and tricks to not come home and unload all of the weird situations or behavioral problems with your family and just ruminate on it? Thanks so much for all that you do.
This is such a good question. Also, thank you for the voicemail. I'm so thrilled. I couldn't be more thrilled. So anyway, that was great. So I don't know if I may be the best person to answer this because I really love a good vent session.
Okay, I was going to say the same
I
thing.
really like bringing things home to my family. It feels so cathartic to me. But counterintuitively, sometimes that lets me let it go, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So I come home and I vent, and then I can let it go versus holding it in. So
Right.
if you have a family or a partner who is or maybe a pet who's amenable to you just venting a little bit, I would say in some cases that might be okay. Also, if there's a specific question or situation you need advice on that you think has a reasonable solution, ask in the community. People are full of good advice there. And this question is coming from someone who already does that. But for everybody else listening, it's really nice to have people to commiserate with because you are going to feel not alone. I think sometimes in these situations, we think, oh my gosh, I must be the only person dealing with this. But I guarantee there are 5 other people
it is not
in the community. Yes. Because your family can lend a listening ear, but they don't really get it, right? They don't really get it. So, and then I have one more idea. So I think it's also important to not actually get wrapped up in the negativity or continue to ruminate on it. I think that's where it becomes a problem, right? Where we just can't let it go. So vent if you need to, but then I think you need to find a way to decompress. And one idea I learned about probably within the last year or so is the idea of completing the stress cycle. Have you heard about this?
I have not. This is new to me.
Okay. So the idea is, I think I got it from a book on burnout. I'll have to see if I can find that. But it's the idea is if you've had a really stressful event or day or whatever, your body hangs on to that. And you need to find a way to release it and complete the cycle. So that might be through exercise or taking a long walk or having a cry or making some art, right? Something to get your body out of that heightened state and to signal to it like, okay, like I'm safe, I'm done, it's over, I'm not in that state anymore. And I found that to be very personally helpful.
Oh, I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me. So, yeah, I will definitely think about that in the future here. I was just going to say, a rant does me good. Like you said, bring it home, yell about it for a little bit, but, beware of trauma dumping. I'm just like,
yes.
bringing the worst energy to your family or your partner or whoever is hearing you. So just kind of be aware of that. But honestly, I think a big strategy for me was just keeping work at work. We talk about that all the time, leave
Mhm.
whenever, but don't think about lesson plans at home. Don't bring home work to grade,
Yeah.
don't write a rubric in the evening. If you can leave all of that stuff at school, like leave your laptop at school, leave all of those things at school. And sometimes the physical act of leaving things there will help you with the mental act of leaving things
Yes.
there. And so I think if you can make it a clean break between home and work, between home and school, I think that really can help sort of eliminate the drama or bringing the stress home with you. Just leave that all there, deal with it when it comes tomorrow, and then just be present when you're at home.
Mhm. I like that.
Next question is from Becky. It says, Tim and Amanda, Youth Art Month question. What is the coolest idea you have to celebrate Youth Art Month at the high school level? This is my 24th year, but the first where I've made an actual effort for Youth Art Month. So far, we've done a video announcement by some of our kids sharing stats about why art is important. She says SAT scores, mental health, etc. Also, just because art is awesome. They've also done student art scavenger hunts across campus and posters with trivia questions. I would love to build on these and really make Youth Art Month awesome in the future. Thanks. Been listening to the podcast since the beginning. That's so nice.
Oh,
Thank you,
that's so
Becky.
nice.
So, Amanda, what are you thinking here?
Well, I'm thinking that she already listed so many good things.
Right? I thought
It's like,
exactly
whoa,
the
you're
same.
doing a lot. So, first of all, kudos to you. I think if I were thinking about what you're already doing and how I might take it to the next level, I would think about something that's highly visible, something that
Mm-hmm.
people can't ignore, something that's attention grabbing. So, maybe some sort of pop up art show that appears overnight, right? Or a large public work, something to get everyone on your campus talking. Another idea is to get students out into common spaces working on art. So we've had a couple of now presenters who have shared similar ideas, whether that's taping paper to the walls and having students do large scale drawings or doing chalk art out, in a common outdoor space. Again, making the art making process very visible, I think could be cool. And
Yes.
then depending, on your school culture, I think some sort of spirit day could be fun if you think your kids would be into it. Dressing as your favorite artist or movement or something to do with color, your favorite color, dressing in all one color, all the grades are assigned a different color or neons or whatever. I think
Mm-hmm.
having the students, even if it's just kids who are in art, like that might be another way to sort of make a statement throughout the school that
Yeah,
brings it outside of the art classroom.
I like those ideas. If I can add on to sort of the common spaces and the
Yeah.
collaborative ideas, I think anything that you can get both art students and non-art students working on
Yeah.
together would be really cool. Maybe that's, just like sidewalk chalk someday,
Mhm.
like just some artwork going on outdoors, or, take inspiration from those elementary teachers that do school-wide collaborative pieces. Like, can you bring something like that to the high school where everybody contributes a small part, but it makes a bigger piece? I think that would be great. And then I was also just thinking about getting other teachers involved.
Yeah.
We've had things where, when we're doing an emphasis on reading, we have teachers post a sign outside their room with their favorite book. But can you do something like that and ask teachers to put up something that talks about their favorite artist or their favorite painting
Yeah.
or favorite museum they visited, just to get people thinking about talking about art? If other teachers create art, even if it's, just like crocheting, or maybe they do some painting, maybe they do some drawing, ask them to display that or talk about that with their kids. Or I was also thinking about getting your kids' art into other classrooms. Like every
Ooh.
kid has a handful of paintings or sculptures sitting around the room or on their shelf that they're not doing
Yeah.
anything else with. And just, ask teachers like, hey, could we hang up, 4 artworks in your room for this month? Something like that would be really cool, and get those kids some recognition and get some art up around the school. I think just little things like that can go a long ways and show that everybody is appreciating this, and it's not centered or specific to the art room.
Yeah, that's a very cool idea.
All right, next question is from Baz. And Baz says, fast finishers, not just what activity to give them once they are done with their artwork, but how to encourage them in slowing down, taking more time, and putting more effort and skill into their artwork. Okay, I find giving fast finishers something to work on can often only encourage other students to rush through their work to get to that fast finisher activities. I usually just let them free draw if they are finished, but there are sometimes students who are not strong in their art skills in the first place, so they just waste the free draw paper. And many of them, if not occupied, are the ones that will misbehave or distract other students. Thanks for any ideas. I love Art Ed Radio, and that is how I found this community. I love all the shout outs to the community. It's fantastic. So, Amanda, would you like to answer this first about early finishers?
I would. I'm going to take the elementary slant here because I assume that's where this is coming from. Maybe not, but I also think you can probably give us some secondary ideas.
I'm going to say with free draw and wasting paper, I'm going to assume elementary level. So.
Or freshman, one or the other. Okay, this is hard. You are using a lot of strategies that I would also suggest, including asking them to go back and add details, boost their craftsmanship, etc. And then, like you said, it's so tricky when the early finisher activities are so fun, they make other kids rush who ordinarily wouldn't rush.
Absolutely.
Right? This is a perpetual problem. So here are a couple of different ways that I approach this in my classroom that seem to work pretty well. So first was to plan for one extra thing that students can do but don't have to do. So most of the kids are getting through, 3 steps of a project, but some kids get through 4. So maybe that's adding a frame to their artwork. Maybe that's writing a short story about something in their artwork. Maybe it's adding more patterns to the background, right? Whatever it is, there's a short extension so you can build in a little bit of extra time and something that goes along with the project. So it's not just random that kids can work on if they get through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Similar is you could add an incentivizing final detail only for kids who have thoroughly completed all of the rest of the steps to the best of their ability. So providing some sort of clear rubric of how students can earn a special supply. So in my classroom, that was things like sequins, metallic markers, right? Specialty materials. And it's like, look, if you do all these other things really well, like you can add details with the golden marker.
I like it.
I mean, I'm motivated by the golden marker, and so were my kids. And then my third idea is just to provide 2 to 3 early finisher activities that are fun but not too fun, and do not include traditional drawing. So you said some of these kids, they don't really love art in the first place. So if you give them free draw paper, they're not very motivated. And free draw paper, in my opinion, can actually be kind of intimidating because if they've rushed through their project and that has clear parameters, most of the time they're not rushing through to draw something by themselves, right? And so I like things like art room jobs. Some of those kids need to be busy and they like to be busy. So that would be a good early finisher activity. Also, pattern blocks or manipulatives are sometimes, again, it's not Legos. I wouldn't even, I made the mistake of buying Legos for my first classroom and they were all gone within
I was going to say
2 weeks.
Those disappear so
quickly. They just
quickly.
disappear in pockets. Lesson learned. But, pattern blocks are less likely to walk off. Or I also had a classroom library that some kids just really loved curling up with a magazine or a book from the classroom library, right? Like these are things that are art related, but they're not drawing, and that might help engage some of those kids in an artistic way after they're done with their project.
Yeah, those are all wonderful ideas. Thinking about this from the high school level, just getting kids to slow down and rework things or having other things to do. We've talked a couple times in mailbags about the 3 projects at once thing that I used to do, where we have a project, we have a sketchbook, we have a choice project. They can work on any of those things. So there's always something else for them to go to. I was also thinking at the high school level, you can just kind of build the idea of taking your time into the assignment. So, something about the process steps where we're going to complete the drawing, we're going to then refine the drawing, go back and make it a little nicer, a little bit better. And then after we have it refined, we're going to go back and we're going to enhance the drawing. We're going to add some things to it, whether that be more color or a more detailed background or spending more time on the shading. Just find spots that things can be enhanced, things can be better, and make that part of what you do. Like, we have our first sketch complete, we're going back to make that sketch better. After the sketch is better, we're going to go through and kind of perfect some things. And I think just having that as part of the assignment can work really well for high school. And I think if you're doing that, just a lot of check-ins along the way. That may just be you doing a quick one-on-one conference to see how things are going, a quick discussion, a partner check-in, maybe some process photos, anything like that just gives kids a little bit of accountability for the step-by-step process of going through this. And so rather than just finding our first idea, going all out with it and being done right away, that's not how we do the assignment. We have certain steps that really force kids to slow down, to think, to take their time and make things better. And so I think if we can do more things like that along the way and sort of show the process and make the process part of the rubric, then I think that can really help kids in slowing down. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, our final question, this is from Lily. And Lily says, what are key things that a student should know before they get to high school? Is there a list of things that high school teachers want students to know or don't expect them to know before they get to high school? Amanda, I'm sorry to make you answer all of these first, but can you take this one also?
I can. Well, and it's interesting because I taught elementary, so I'll give you what I hoped to send them to high school with or to the next level with, and then you can tell me if that's what you want. I also think this question is going to be slightly different depending on where you teach, right? Because ideally you have a spiraled curriculum map that flows K-12, but I understand that's not always a reality.
Right.
It would be a great thing if you don't have one that you could suggest the department works on that during a institute day or an in-service day, right? Also, I need to mention, if your district pays for Flex on your behalf, you do have access to Flex curricula, which makes this
just going to mention Flex
really
curricula.
Easy. Really easy. So there's a full curriculum plan for each grade level there. But broadly, this is what I tried to instill in my students at the elementary level. Just a basic knowledge about art and experiences with a breadth of common art materials, right? I just wanted to expose them to things, right? How do you use a paintbrush? How do you use a crayon? How do you use oil pastel? What are these different materials? How do we care for them? What kind of marks can they make? Basic knowledge of common art vocabulary, right? What are primary colors? What are secondary colors? So we can have a shared language about the subject matter.
Yep.
Basic knowledge of the elements and principles, right? Building blocks of art, things like that. This is making my curriculum sound extremely boring, which is not true. It's not like we sat down and we're like, today, kids, we're going to learn about blah, 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 right? But when I'm lesson planning fun, engaging projects, these are the little building blocks I'm thinking about, okay? I also wanted them to have experience with brainstorming and coming up with original ideas. How do you think like an artist? What is creativity? How do we problem solve? How do we fail? And then just like a willingness to experiment without necessarily needing to make a final project. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I love that.
Is this what high school art teachers want of kids coming?
That last one was actually the perfect segue. I'll talk about that in just a second. But I would just say, from a high school teacher's perspective, like, I'll teach them what I need them to know. Just please send me kids who love art.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I will get them where they need to go, but I just want kids who love the subject, who are excited to come to class. Like you said, they have a willingness to try new things, willingness to experiment. That goes a long way. Being able to just kind of work through problems and stick with things when they get hard. I think that's great. The basic studio habits, like you mentioned at the beginning, are really, really helpful if kids have, experience with that breadth of materials, and they've at least, touched this stuff before. Like, we can hit the ground running. Like, that's really helpful if we can go with that. And just having kids that are open to giving feedback and receiving feedback so we can discuss, we can learn together. I think that goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for Lily specifically, if you are worried about, which topics to cover, spend some time talking to the high school teachers in your district. Or if you don't have the chance to collaborate or talk with them, at least take a look at their syllabus and that'll tell you a lot. But from my perspective, if they know about contour drawings and line weights and color theory, that's amazing. That makes my job easier. But what I appreciate more than anything is kids who are excited and who are willing to learn. If they come from me saying, oh, Miss Hine taught me all those things back in the day, like that's great.
Yeah.
I love that because they're excited about that class. They love art class. And so when they come in thrilled to be in art and ready and willing to learn, that's more helpful than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That wraps it up for our mailbag. We had some awesome questions from the community. So thank you to everyone. And thank you, Catherine, again, for the voicemail.
Yeah.
You really just made Amanda's day
You really did.
with that. So we will go ahead and wrap things up. Hopefully we will see you at Art Club on Thursday or Lunch Bunch coming up or Pop-Up Studio in a couple weeks. A lot of cool things going on, but come find us in the Art of Ed community. We've linked to it in the show notes, so it's easy to find. Come join the discussion. It's a great place to be. Amanda, anything else before we go?
No, I think you covered it. We'll see you next month.
All right. Thank you to Amanda for coming on. Thank you to the Art of Ed community for all of the incredible questions today. And of course, thank you to Catherine for leaving the voicemail. You definitely made Amanda's day. Now, a quick reminder that we'll link everything that you need in the show notes, some good resources along with links to the community so you can join in all of these discussions, maybe ask some questions for future episodes, and join us for Art Club and Lunch Bunch and anything else that maybe interests you. Also, before we go, I want to remind you about the Art of Ed's Flex curriculum. We had that great question from Lily where Amanda talked about aligning things from kindergarten through 12th grade. And I think that's an incredible opportunity if you have Flex curriculum. One of the great things that Flex curriculum offers is whether you teach elementary, middle school, high school, or all of the above, Flex provides vertically aligned units that make teaching across grade levels seamless, aligning things across grade levels seamless. The platform includes lessons, assessments, and videos that are keeping students engaged while saving you hours of planning. And because new content is added regularly, your teaching stays relevant and meaningful all year long. It keeps kids excited about learning. Flex curriculum puts a complete customizable curriculum right at your fingertips, and you can check all of that out at theartofeducation.edu/flex. All right. Thank you again for everybody who played a part in this episode, all the great questions from the community. We really, really enjoyed hearing all of those. And remember, you can always send us questions in the community, or you can email us at podcasts@theartofeducation.edu, or email me, Timothy Bogatz, at theartofeducation.edu. We always appreciate having those questions. We love answering them. We love talking to you, and we appreciate everyone who takes the time to listen to these episodes. Art Ed Radio is produced by The Art of Education with audio engineering from Michael Crocker. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. We hope it was helpful for you. And if you know someone else who might be helped with the information on this episode, we would love for you to share it with them. We also appreciate all of the ratings and reviews that listeners leave for us. So if you have a few seconds to give us a 5-star rating or even leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen, we would love to see it. We appreciate all of our listeners, and we will talk to you again next week.